Baba Israel in the place to be, representing New York City.
Yako 440.
Yeah, so me and Yako, we go back, what, almost 10 years now?
Yeah.
When did we first meet? I think
99, 2000.
Yeah, 99. I was living in like a crazy artist loft, you know, big space, 3,000 square feet in Brooklyn, in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And I was throwing a house party, you know, because I like to, you know, have a celebration. And we had B-boys and B-girls breaking, DJs, musicians, beatboxers. Kid Lucky was there, and a lot of crew. And then Yako came over with a DJ friend of ours, and he just got on every instrument. He got on the keyboard, and he got on the bass. He was beatboxing a little bit at that time. And
yeah.
What happened?
I guess we just started making music really from that day. There was a big jam session, so we got on and, you know, I got on the instruments, Baba got on the mic, started rhyming. We started beatboxing together a little bit right off the bat, and then slowly sort of transitioned from another project that he was working with to working together. Yeah. And it was me, him, and DJ Center formed Open Thought.
Shibboleth flipping rhythm, transmitting beatbox, steady spitting when we rock unorthodox styles. Here we are in Berlin. Watch the words moving like Merlin. Spagic casting when we beatbox with passion. Crashing like the drums when they move like a cymbal. Break it down with styles when you rock so nimble. Flip it to the hi-hat, snap to get my rap. Flipping with that when we bounce on the track with the kick drum. Tick some of a remedy. It's freestyle flows in the place. Let the energy enter me. Fifth element when we do it, never hesitant. Rock with the vocal style instrument. Yeah, flipping with the flow one time. We can beatbox freestyle off the mind like I started beatboxing when I was like a little kid, like 11 years old, and with a couple of friends, a friend of mine named SPG, and we were, you know, influenced by Dougie Fresh and the clicks and all that kind of style, and also we loved Buff and the Fat Boys, of course, because I'm 34 years old, so in 1984 is when I first started really getting into it, like 11, 12 years old. And then later, you know, obviously people like Rahzel and, you know, people like that blew my mind, and they took it to another level. In New York, it was like, you know, the DJs had a lot of focus after the MCs, and then the breakers had their time at one point, but the beatboxers were like kind of separated. And then when Lucky started throwing the events, D Cross came out, and Semi Rock, and, you know, all
Messiah
these
Electro,
MIDI, and all these cats that we didn't even know were around, and then we started like having a community. And I think that's something that's important, is like beatboxers have a really good attitude that when they share, when they exchange, and it's just about coming together and you know, inspiring each other to be better as an artist. Online, download, internet. Internet. How do you feel?
The internet, it's a dope thing because it spreads information so fast. So you have people all over the world, like you said, checking out, you know, artists and beatboxers and learning techniques and having tutorials and different things. So you can really take one idea, put it on the internet, and a lot of people can access it. So that's a really good thing. I think, you know, I've said this before, what you lack through the internet is the actual interaction.
Yeah, I mean, we love the internet as a tool. I mean, as an independent musician, it's like, it saves us, you know, because, you know, when you're not in the major industry with the mainstream record labels, you have to create your own ways of promoting and communicating and building connections and booking tours. So the internet is like, saves independent artists. But I think what Yako said is important too. Like, there's something about the direct interaction that I get nervous sometimes, like if young kids only learn through the internet. I think it's not healthy. They need to also go do a live show, because sitting in front of your little camera and doing a live show is two different things.
We're excited to see the Beatbox Academy here because
Yeah,
it's
fresh.
important to give back to the next generation. And so we teach workshops all over New York with, I worked with second graders this year, little ones like this big, you know,
Yeah.
and we taught them beatboxing, you know, all the way up to, you know, university students. We learn a lot from jazz too, as well as hip hop, funk, soul, reggae music. So, you know, hip hop in its origins wasn't just hip hop. There was no hip hop. There was DJs spinning all these styles of music. So I think being open to many styles of music is important as a beatboxer, not just, you know, copying. In the ciphers in New York, there was a lot of times where we didn't have a mic and we were outside and we had MCs rhyming, so we had to come up with loud sounds, you know? So this kind of snare. Because it had the power of a kick drum, but then it also had the breath to give it some high frequency. And then the bass drum was always just, you know, plosive sound, maybe a little voice.
B, B. Then you have your bass drum. So the K sound is like the K, the K, and then the K, right? So that was my basic, was. And then through listening to like Jay Dilla and other producers who started using claps, I decided to add a little roll to it to make it crunch more, like. So you can be. That's one of the ones I've been using a lot lately. I like that one because it just gives a little, you know, different texture. Instead of just being a sharp snare, it extends it. And then the other thing I would say is sounds going in. You know, both of us use a lot of like hi-hats going in.
Yeah.
Because you can go in and out, and then you can just beatbox forever because you have sounds going in and out. Snares out, K, in K.
Later on in my life, I met Emanon, you know, who was, you know, like kind of connected to Dougie Fresh in the early days. And he did
MB2000?
And well, MB2000 later on was a beatbox crew that I was in for a little while with me, Kenny Muhammad, and DOA, and also Afra from Japan. And so he had a sound that he did, which was actually a sound that I did always since I was a kid, but I never met anyone else that he did it. Now you see a lot of beatboxers do it now, but it was to get a bass. And then I started now experimenting with changing the speed to get like different notes. I lived in Australia for a while and I got turned on to an instrument, and it's, most people know it as the didgeridoo. This is one that Yako actually made for me, and you know, it's not the traditional one, because traditionally didgeridoo comes from wood and it comes from the eucalyptus tree, and it's actually one of the only instruments that's made by nature, because it's hollowed out by termites, and then it's empty. As you can see, there's just an empty hole, and then it would be decorated and painted, and it comes from the Aboriginal community, the indigenous people of Australia, the original people of that place, and there's many tribes like the Kori tribe, but actually a beatboxer named Duma Love, who was a musician, was the first one to show me beatboxing through Didge in maybe about '95. And then I added this slide, which was inspired by a didgeridoo player in Australia, and it's also known as the Yadaki. You're watching Beatbox Battle TV. Peace.